Bill, you've talked a lot about how in the making of this documentary, it sort of provoked you to look back at your life in ways you hadn't really before. And I'm curious in doing that, what what you saw in it.
Well, I think, I suppose that the great thing is that I did go after my dream,
Yeah.
that I did have a bit of a dream right from probably 7 years old
Yeah.
of somehow being some sort of musical group.
Yeah.
I would dream about it, then I would make up pretend albums,
Yeah.
I had like bad eyesight, so I did a concept album about my eyesight called Blurry Vision, and each thing it was just a pretend. I was even pretending I was writing albums. So
Where do you think that dream came from?
I don't know really. I don't know why. I fell in love with rock and roll when I, I saw heard the Beatles really
Yeah.
when I was 7 years old, and
Mm-hmm.
I just fell in love with it. There's something about it, just something about it that they seem to be having. Those groups at that time, the British invasion groups,
Mm-hmm.
just seemed to be having a whale of a time, and it was just so exciting. I don't know,
Yeah.
it infused something in me that it became part of a dream I had, which I never thought I'd really do.
Yeah.
But I always kept my toe in the water a bit,
Yeah.
playing guitar and
Yeah.
singing a bit and trying to play with different people. And then punk happened and it kind of opened this doorway up that you didn't have to be
Yeah.
quite so incredible. It gave you you could
Yeah.
start off at a low point
Yeah.
and it gave you a way in, a door open, which is kind of what I'm singing about in the song Dream Into It on the latest album.
Yeah.
This door opened that I had to walk through.
Yeah.
I had to do it because this was my chance.
Yeah. And you knew that.
I felt it, yeah. Seen the Sex Pistols, and I was already in a bit of a group
Yes.
at university, and I couldn't get them to do punk rock, but we were doing early '60s stuff, or
Yeah.
a Larry Williams song, "Slow Down," and I would sing an Animal song, "We've got to get out of this place,"
Yes.
and then my mates saw the Sex Pistols and went, "Look." This friend of mine sent me a postcard saying, "We've seen the band we've been waiting for."
Yeah.
Because we were following the scene in New York, the CBGBs, the Velvet Underground,
Yeah.
what had happened to Max's, and then we were watching what was happening to CBGBs,
Yeah.
wishing for a scene of our own in England, and that's what we started to create.
Yeah.
Once we saw the Pistols, we went, right, and then I got in my own with Chelsea, and then Generation X, and my other friends started Susie and the Banshees.
Yeah. You create a stage persona, a name, a whole identity. Was that by design or did that just sort of happen?
Well, I had spent my whole youth watching the rock scene, watching the music scene, watching other people, really, other artists,
Yeah.
and how they created themselves, really. And as I say, when this doorway opened up into punk rock, we were sort of ready.
Yeah.
We'd sort of read all the books.
Yeah.
We even knew you get ripped off for 5 years.
Yeah.
We even knew you're going to get ripped off, but that doesn't matter as long as you survive. There's loads of things we learned. We really sort of marinated ourselves
Yeah.
in the music culture, this music revolution we were growing up alongside.
Yeah.
That we started to dream into things. And then I think I dreamt myself into being Billy Idol, really. I always believed that these people that I love, like David Bowie or Lou Reed, I always felt they were kind of telling you without saying it, you got to find out who you are
Yeah.
and be it. And that's what I was doing. That's what I've done. Got to go by what you instinctively love. Malcolm McLaren told me, you'll never get it. You'll never get there. You'll never make it.
Yeah.
And I thought, he's only saying that because he doesn't want competition with the Sex Pistols.
Right.
But really, shouldn't I have listened to him? Shouldn't I have listened to the great Malcolm McLaren?
Yeah.
I went like, that's his opinion. I don't know. Bollocks.
Why did he say that?
Maybe I'm dangerous. Maybe I had a danger. I was dangerous. If he ever realizes what he truly could be,
Yeah.
he could be dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't know, in my own daft way. But that's maybe at that time that I spoke to him, maybe I didn't look like I hadn't created this completely.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite this persona, I suppose.
Yeah.
Although I was me,
Yeah. I'm struck by William Broad in high school and Billy Idol. And they look like two different people.
Yes.
What do they look like to you?
Well, I know inside of the school uniform kid is a guy who's dreaming about being in a music group,
Yeah.
and somewhere you're planning on doing it if you ever get the chance.
Yeah.
I was 9 or something, and these kids who were just either leaving the primary school, the infant school,
Yeah.
had a little group. They were like 11, you know.
Yeah.
And it was like all the girls were really interested because you could, you go, man, you see what happens once you put a strap of guitar on.
Yeah.
All this attention without having to speak to anybody, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, so I don't know, you know. There's loads of things like that. You had these little moments where you went, oh,
Yeah.
they're doing it,
Yeah.
you know. And then, you know, all we did was from 12 and a half onwards, I was just going to see groups.
Yeah.
So we saw every kind of group, you know, all the progressive groups,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Black Sabbath to you name it. We saw everybody, and Frank Zappa, everybody. We just went. Anybody, Captain Beefheart, everybody we loved. And if we could have, we would have seen the Velvet Underground, but they didn't come to England. You know?
When you came back in '81, you ended up in a very different place here in America. You were down well, you were all over New York, and a pretty gritty New York.
Yeah, it was. It was well. New York was. My manager said to Bill O'Coin, who was an American manager who managed Kiss.
Yeah.
He said to me, you know, you've got to come to New York really because it's bankrupt at the moment.
Yeah.
So anything goes.
Yeah.
And when I got here, it was just like that. It was like a post-apocalyptic. It was no one cared about it. It was like so run down, and I mean, but it was great because musicians and artists and everyone could live in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
And even the first clubs I went to when I came here, there was every kind of person. They hadn't started being rock clubs, and you know, there was every kind of person going. It was the most amazing time to come to New York.
Mm-hmm.
It was the very early '80s. It was just really exciting. It was perfect, and because if I'd stayed in England, it's very likely nothing would have happened because things pass through very quickly in England.
Yeah.
And as I think people in England would have felt, we've seen Billy Idol, we've seen Generation X, we've seen Billy Idol. I had to go somewhere else, try something, and hopefully get somewhere and come back with something
Yeah.
and say, now what you think? And that's exactly what happened.
Did you feel like you had something to prove when you got here to England?
Of course,
Yeah.
I had to. That was my plan. I was going to stay here for a year. That was my initial, I'm not going back.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay here for a year, whatever happens, staying here. And then I never went back, except for to go back to play
Yeah.
but I went back with the Rebel Yell album,
Yeah.
and I really felt I had something.
Yeah.
And we'd already done White Wedding. And
Right. You wrote a lot of stuff right here, didn't you?
yeah, the first album, a lot of stuff was written in this building or, you know, rehearsed here.
Yeah.
Because we did a lot of the preparatory work. Because this place, it was all groups all around you, and there was no soundproofing, so you were playing in a cacophony of noise.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible, but it was great. And then there was Lenny Kaye had his studio on the ground floor, so we'd always run into him and chat with him. So, you know, coming here and then you're meeting people like that, other like-minded people.
Yes.
You kind of, it was like, it wasn't so different from what was happening in London. You're just meeting the American version of it. Mm-hmm. So it was really exciting. And then one day there was this young girl here wanting a lift home. It was Madonna, you know. So, because she was rehearsing here.
Yeah.
And she would hang out with Lenny Kaye as well.
New York was so funny there, and it's like everybody was in the same space practically. You met Steve through Bill, right?
Steve Stevens, he knew.
Because he was the same manager, right? I think.
Yes, well, he didn't manage Steve, but he'd been watching Steve on the New York, I suppose, club circuit, I suppose.
Why did you guys connect?
It was almost immediate. And the first time we met, we had a fantastic discussion about what I wanted to do, where I thought I was going, and what I needed in someone to partner with, really. That's what I talked to him about.
Right.
So I really wanted to find someone that I could write songs with inside what we were doing. And rather like I'd had that relationship with Tony James of Generation X, I thought I just have to believe in myself. And And the great thing, someone like Steve Stevens,
Yeah.
even wanting to work with me, once I saw how good he was on the guitar, I just knew I can do this. I can
Yeah.
go there with this guy, and with Keith Forsey. There's a chance that we can do it. And we just got to find out now.
Yeah. When you're having that conversation with yourself, who am I in America? How does that go in your head?
Well, there'd be some trepidation, of course, because in a way, thought you didn't have all the answers. But when I saw that Dancing with Myself, which is the music I wanted to make,
Yes.
because I turned Generation X into that, started
Yes.
to turn into that sort
You
of
said
music.
you say in the film that basically that last album was your first, really your first solo album.
Kind of because it's
Yeah.
Keith producing, and I
Yeah.
was already starting to morph the music towards. Once I saw that that was taken off, I just knew I've just got to mind that scene, and I've just got to. So that's why I did Moni Moni. It was to follow up Dancing Myself just in the dance clubs,
Yeah.
and it worked. It carried it on, and then so you kept going, and then with the first album, Writing White Wedding, that was a big moment too,
Yeah.
because I wrote that on my own as well. But it was really me following up Dancing with Myself, another great
Yeah.
3-chord bash, 4-chord bash,
Yeah.
kind of that similar thing, but just as iconic in a way, or just super Billy Idol, that no one else would do this but me.
Yeah.
That's how crazy. This is what I was looking for too, stuff I would do that no one else would do. They wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
They wouldn't quite do it in this way.
Yeah.
Only me, I knew I would be nuts enough to try and.
What's the list in your head of what that is, in terms of what Billy Idol is musically? That's so unique.
I'd come out of punk rock, so I didn't mind it having a primitive element
Yeah.
I hate to say this, simplistic element, but I didn't mind it not being.
It's more. I think of it more as more primal in some ways.
Well, that's what I really mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't mind it being primal, so I wasn't looking for it to be music that extrapolated a lot or anything like jazz or anything. I was really looking for it to be this groove-driven thing that I could just glide my voice on top of, and that someone like Steve Stevens could just take off on it.
Yeah.
That was and Steve is not only a fantastic lead guitarist, he's actually an incredible rhythm guitarist.
Yeah.
And a lot of what he does rhythmically drives the music along. I think we both have that feel for groove. And Keith Forsey was a total groover, and that's what he'd come out of. He'd come out of sort of the 60s music scene into acid rock in Germany, and then he'd started doing sessions, and then he'd started to work with Giorgio Moroder, Donna Summer, and so he had what I was looking for in terms of I knew we needed a producer that knew rock and roll music and the dance world, for one of the disco world, for one of the better words. Keith knew that, and he could write songs as well. So between the three of us, we really could make something happen, and that's it, and it happened.
You seem to have had at bottom a really good sense of yourself and a confidence.
And I don't know where that came from, really, because I'm not the greatest singer in the world. I didn't have a really great natural singing voice. It was something I had to work at. And that was what was great about Generation X, because that was 5 years of finding out about your singing style.
Yeah.
Really, I'm not the greatest musician either. I'm only okay as a guitarist. But part of loving rock and roll is knowing that Bo Diddley isn't a million chords.
Yes.
It's groove.
Yeah.
And it's attitude.
Yeah.
And it's what he wants to say. It doesn't always have to be about how many notes you're playing,
Yes.
It's the right notes or something. I know there's that bit in that Mozart film. Do you have to need so many notes?
Yeah.
And he says, which notes to take out? Maybe I knew which notes to leave in and which notes to leave out in terms of myself. Anyway.
Yeah. Sometimes simple is just more powerful.
Yeah, and also like I say, I grew up with loving early rock and roll. Like the first rock and roll I heard was very, very sort of primitive in a way.
Yeah.
And I loved that. So I wasn't frightened of something being primitive or primal. In fact, looking for that, I wanted to have that
Yeah.
little bit of crazy. You need that.
Yeah. The film is called Billy Idol Should Be Dead. You should be dead.
In some ways, yeah, I'm lucky, super lucky to be here, and especially in the state of mind. I mean, you know,
When did the light go on for you that it was too much?
I always had this voice telling me, you can't do this forever,
Yeah.
you know.
And what did you think when you would hear that voice?
Yeah, I just didn't know when I would stop exactly, but there was this voice telling me, can probably only do this for 10 years,
Yeah.
and you're going to have to stop,
Yeah.
because I could see you either go crazy, end up in jail, or dead, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I was starting to see. People are dying around me, you know. It
Yeah.
wasn't like, not, you know, not in my band or anything, but there was other people I knew around New York.
Were you enjoying the ride too much?
I was enjoying it, yeah. There was certain aspects of it. There's, especially being a musician, the drugs open you up to music.
Yeah.
I mean, when I read Keith Richards' book, I mean,
Yeah.
he said, I'm on heroin and I'm making mixtapes. Well, that's what we were.
Yeah.
You're just thinking music all day long. That's, you know, and you're trying to think of the next song, because,
Yeah.
you know, that's the other thing. You're constantly searching
Yeah.
for the next song. So you're kind of using anything you can to speed time up so you get to that idea in a weird way. And I think sometimes that's why musicians sometimes use drugs, because you're trying to like have an experience or something that you can
Yeah.
put into a song, you know, like, but, and I don't know, but also maybe it was par for the course back then too. It's just what was going on.
When you were able to walk away from the motorcycle accident and you nearly didn't, what did you take away from that?
I had to really think about the fact that I had children by this time,
Yeah.
and what would I be saying to them by either A, dying, or B, staying a junkie.
Yeah.
I had to think about what would I really be saying to even these. I've got grandchildren now. What would I be saying to them? You know,
Yeah.
Once upon a time there was a honeymoon period.
Yeah.
That was way over. You were never going to get that again. Partly being in that hospital with the broken leg, which I nearly lost. This
Yeah.
lower half of my leg, I nearly lost it. I was on this pain box.
Yes.
Had a lockout every 12 minutes, otherwise. Because it was this pure morphine.
Yeah.
I really thought about that. I thought, man, because I was high as a kite, you know, like, it was fantastic. But when are you ever going to be this high again?
Yeah.
And I thought, never. Because that stuff was so pure.
Yeah.
And I just thought, that's it. I think, so partly, yeah, the cycle accident was like, yeah, you can't cavalierly throw your life away. It's too ridiculous.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was all to do with being a bit high that day, you know, in a way.
Yeah.
Making the wrong decisions, you know. Although the one decision I didn't make was to wear my favourite painted leather jacket. It was such a beautiful day. I went, I'm just going to wear the denim jacket, because when they were cutting it off I was going, thank God it's not my favourite leather jacket. The daft things you think about when your leg is completely smashed. And
You end up touring with a cane, which it's just kind of fascinating to watch.
yeah, so it was kind of fun. I got a chrome heart cane or a shillelagh from Ireland, and had a number of canes, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was just one of those things, and you go, well, we're gonna rock.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it. You know, we got to do it. We got to go on. I had this killer album.
Yes. So you got to be out there.
So we're going to have to do it.
Yeah. Wow.
Hook or by crook. So
One of the really moving things about the documentary is seeing you with your grandkids.
it's lovely. I've really enjoying it. It's really fantastic. They're nice little children, and it's exciting. You know, they're so excited. Their eyes are so alive. They love being alive. You know.
Did you think you'd be excited by having grandchildren?
I didn't know what to think really, but I've really enjoyed it. It's fantastic. I now see why you have children.
Yeah.
With the grandchildren. It's just really lovely. I'm really enjoying it. You know, it's brought me close to my daughter, and also I discovered a new son,
Yes.
Brant, who's got two two grandchildren. So that's helping to draw. It's helping to draw us all together. It's sort of
Yeah.
lovely.
How did you feel when you found out about that?
Well, I suppose I wasn't completely
Surprised?
somehow thought, yeah, it was kind of cavalierly being a bit wild during the 80s. So, but it was lovely. It's all turned out really lovely. He's a lovely guy,
Yeah.
and I love his family, and
Yeah.
I love him. It's fantastic.
You got a song on the new album, I'm Your Hero?
Yes.
And there's a line in there where you basically say, I'm reborn.
Well, a little bit through the grandchildren, through your children in a way. You're sort of seeing yourself reborn in a way. I can see me in them. I can see my dad in them. I can see. I can just see that. Wow, they're like chips off the old block in some way or other. They've got,
Yeah.
and you're sort of living again through them, and in a way they only know you. They know you. They just know this guy. You know.
Yeah.
There's no backstory, and they seem to love you unconditionally in a way.
Yeah.
And all of that kind of makes you feel like you're reborn. It's not so much I'm really a hero to them, really. It's just, I even think of that more as, I want to be your hero. So,
Yeah.
you know, the kind
Yeah.
of almost like that,
Yeah.
rather than, but I'm
Yeah.
reborn for serious.
Yeah.
I think it just makes you feel that way. It makes you come alive in a way, in a whole other way that you couldn't imagine. It's been lovely, and it's been fuel for songs as well. This kind of love, that love you have, you know, for life and for them, for yourself, really, that you've held on to your own life, and still here rocking is big, you know, to me. You know,
Yeah. That you can have both.
yeah, it's fantastic.